So today is the day. I mean, you've waited years for November 3rd, 2020. Millions, in fact, billions of dollars have gone into this day. And by the end of today, you will have successfully celebrated National Sandwich Day. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Wait. You thought I was talking about a different day? No, I was talking about National Sandwich Day. By the way, I want you to smile for a moment and take a big, deep breath. And I want to look you in the eye and just tell you, everything's going to be okay. Okay? Everything is going to be okay. In fact, today on our Election Day special, we're going to smile. We're going to take a big, deep breath together. And I'm going to give you 3 predictions that I'm telling you are going to prove right over the next 4 years. I've got 2 great people that I'm going to bring in to interview as an anonymous Trump supporter and an anonymous Biden supporter. And then we're going to leave on a really positive note. EdTalks Live is next. All right, what's up, party people? Welcome to the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. And I'm here to promise you that today, even on the most contentious day in United States history, even today, we're going to smile and make this a positive place, because I'm going to tell you, whatever happens today, it's going to be okay. So smile and just know that tomorrow or Friday, you might go down to the store, and as you get to the checkout line, you're going to walk up to that checkout line, and there's going to be a guy or a woman on the other side, and you're going to smile, and they're going to smile back. It might be through the mask. You're not going to ask them who they voted for. You're just going to exchange a human greeting of compassion and kindness, because you know what? You just happen to be an American. And if you're not an American, well, welcome to the show anyway, and I'm just here to say once again that it's going to be okay. Now, jump in on the right-hand side. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do. Please do say hello in chat. Jump in on the bottom as well if you're on Facebook, and say hello. I want to say hello to some of our friends in chat, and then I'm going to bring on, I'm going to give you some thoughts on how to start with this today, and then I'm going to bring on our guests. So first of all, I want to welcome Wendell. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Robert as well. We got a Houston voter. We got a Dallas voter right there. What's up, Barry from Palm Springs? There's a California voter along with me, by the way. I got my ballot right here. Boom. After today's show, I'm going to head on down to the old election polling place. What? It's raining. I don't know. That's a sign for something. Speaking of the Pacific Northwest, good to see you, Dr. Wendy Lee. Anita, today, if you just joined us, by the way, I said, as you know, today is National Sandwich Day. What's up, Charles? Good to see you as well. Hey, good morning, Danusia. Good to see you. Ron, what's up, buddy? Voting in the swing state of Ohio. What's up, Walt Eisenbrown? A Florida vote. Wow, right in the center of Florida. Actually, Walt, they said like the villages right near you is going to call the election. I'm going to tell you what to look for in just a second. Okay, so on today's show, I'm going to give you some thoughts on how to go into, and some predictions on what's going to happen today. But more importantly, I'm going to tell you what's next. See, as a business owner, entrepreneur, thought leader, you have a mission to share your message with the world. And whatever happens today, there's going to be a moment this week where you're going to go, okay, what next? And I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. But before I do that, let me just kind of pause for just a moment and say, we're in a place right now as a culture where not only can't you share your voting preference, but you can't even share things like, for example, last week I sent an email out that I said, I think the polls are off again. And I gave some reasons why. Now, when I said the polls were off, I didn't say which way. I just said, I think the polls were off. And I gave some reasons why I think the polls were off, particularly social desirability bias. There's also a lot of early voting, and there's a whole bunch of new voters. So that makes things a little bit unstable, especially for phone polls where oftentimes people don't even answer their phone. Okay, so when I did that, a whole bunch of people got all upset because they assumed, oh, that I guess Ed's just saying that, like Donald Trump's going to win. And we're in a place not only where you can't talk about who you're voting for, but you can't even say things that may or may not be true. I just told people, look, tell me afterwards if I was wrong. Like, wait till Tuesday to tell me that I was wrong about that. And so, like yesterday, Lady Gaga wore camouflage, and everyone's like, cancel Lady Gaga. And then like a month ago, the Goya Foods guy went to visit the White House. Everybody's like, can't. But you know what? after about we're going to forget about canceling everybody. We're all going to be friends again. And I'm here on today's show with two people that I consider friends who are on both completely separate sides of the issue. And I'm going to interview them, and we're going to talk about what they think is going to happen today. Now, you've been told that this is the most important election in American history. And I can look you in the eye and tell you that is patently, completely false. The most important election in American history actually happened in 1860. That's when the country was splitting in two, and we elected a brand new party. Did you know that in 1860, the Republican Party was brand new to the scene? Before that, there were Democrats and Whigs. The Whigs couldn't make a stand on slavery. Here come the Republicans, and they elected a person named Abraham Lincoln in the middle of the most divisive time in American history. You hear people say, we've never been more divided. And I can tell you that we were more divided back in 1860 when we actually became two separate countries. So I'm here to tell you that that is not true. So take a big deep breath, smile, say hello in chat, join the fun. We're going to have a blast. Okay. Good morning, Diana. Good to see you as well. Hello, Denise. And what's going on? Harisha, good to see you as well. Some of my favorite people in the world all checking in. Now, a couple things. First of all, I'm just going to come right out of the gates and I'm going to give you my prediction. I was hesitant about doing this. I didn't want to offend anybody, but I just said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to come out. I'm going to give my electoral vote. I'm going to tell you exactly what state is going to go in which direction so that you know, and I will tell you without any hesitation that I will be definitively right with no error or exception. And the reason why is because, you know, sometimes you get a sign, you see something and you're like, that's it. And all of a sudden the light bulb turns on. So I'm going to show you. I was actually walking through my living room. My 2-year-old was playing on the ground. And all of a sudden it just came to me. And I literally saw the entire electoral map come to life right before my very eyes. And friends, that right there is my prediction for this election in 2020. It's going to look almost exactly like that. Okay, I'm totally messing with you. I'm so sorry. You guys are like, write it down. Go to the betting guide. Actually, I have a real electoral map. I just want to show you. This is the actual electoral map. If only men in the United States voted, this is the actual electoral map. So you can see up there in the top right, you know, New York and New Jersey, Illinois, they go for Biden. The whole West Coast is literally on fire. I didn't make this up, by the way. I found this online. The whole West Coast is literally on fire. Let's see. The whole yellow ones are voting for Hulk Hogan, and I think it's hysterical that Alaska is Russian. I'm just messing with you now. Okay, so we're just having fun. All right, so I'm going to say hello to some of you in chat, then I'm going to get right into the content for today. You're going to love this. This is going to be so much fun. So what's up, Steve? Welcome from Colorado. Jake, my man. Good to see you, buddy. Hello, Melissa. Good to see you as well. Anita says, that's why we're going to have a rush party. I'm going to talk about that before today's over. What's up, Scott? All the way from Canada. Hello, Marquetta Breslin. I'm going to have Marquetta on here very, very soon. Yo, Phil. Good to see you as well. By the way, you're more than welcome to say who your preference is in chat. As you know, I'm non-partisan. I love everybody. Okay, ELE, just like Will Ferrell said in Old School. Everybody love everybody. Good to see you, Barrett, as well. Hey, I haven't seen you, Adjua. It's been a while. I think you're still in New York, but let us know if you're not. The prediction. Some of you missed my prediction that today was National Sandwich Day. So miss you too, man. Good to see you as well. So we're just having fun. Thank you. Hey, Josh, what's up? Josh White, also known as Ashley White. All right, so I gave you my prediction on the electoral map. I gave you the prediction of Hulk Hogan winning most of the southern states. Let me just tell you really quickly what our plan is for today. The first thing I'm going to do is give you 3 actual predictions. I'm going to tell you some things about the future of the country that you may not have thought about, but the moment I say them, you're going to see them. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on an anonymous Biden supporter, and then I'm going to bring on an anonymous Trump supporter. 2 of them are friends of mine. They are both CEOs of companies. They're both brilliant people, great marketers, and they're good people. Both of them I would go out and have a beer with. Both of them I would disagree on some issues and agree on others. But at the end of the day, we would probably hug it out and remain friends. And I'm going to interview both of them and ask them the same questions. And by doing that, you're going to see that no matter how awful you think the other party is, there's actually some really smart people on both sides of the issue. And then later on the show, I'm going to bring on Marquetta Breslin. We're going to wrap it all up and talk about what's going to happen in our country tonight and next. And then after all that is said and done, at 11 o'clock Pacific and 2 o'clock Eastern, so 1 hour, so right after the show's over, essentially about 15 minutes from now, whoever wants to, we're going to jump on Zoom. And this is going to be an interactive session where together we're actually going to pray about our country. We're actually going to spend some time just simply praying, because a lot of times what happens in the United States is we talk about praying. You know, somebody gets sick and you go, I'm praying for you, but you're not. You're just saying you're going to pray for you. Today, instead of talking about praying, we're actually going to pray, okay? And prayer is nothing more than just simply talking to God and asking him for some things that you want. So today we're going to pray for peace. We're going to pray for justice, okay? We're going to pray that God's will would be done, and you can come with whatever faith you have, whatever belief system you have. It's a very safe place, not going to be weird and preachy, okay? We're just going to have a good time communicating with God, and you're welcome to do that. Now, my team right now is putting that information actually right into chat. So if you're on YouTube, that Zoom information is going to be on chat. And if you're on Facebook, that's going to be below. We'll post that again, but that's going to be the Zoom link and the password to get in. It's going to be a Zoom meeting, okay? And I'll be hosting it. And again, that's going to happen right after today's show. Okay, so I just covered up all my notes over there. Now, let me just give you a couple of predictions leading into today. And by the way, if you just joined us, and man, we got a bunch of people that just came onto the show. My name is Ed Rush. This is the Election Day Special. For those of you who do know me, I'm a former F-18 fighter pilot, 5-time #1 best-selling author, and I'm not a member of either political party. I am a member of the party of people that love America, and that's not a party at all. Actually, I'm not party affiliated. I go all between both parties and around both parties when it comes to the issues. I do love our country dearly, and I'm part of a movement that we're really trying to take the country into a positive place where we can begin to agree and love each other and actually solve some of the issues instead of arguing about the issues all the time. Good morning, Elaine. Good to see you as well. Robert, what's up, buddy? We don't have a name yet, but we're going to get there. Okay, now, let me bring you into just a handful of predictions just to get started for today. And I'll just tell you as I go into the predictions, you're more than welcome to disagree with me, okay? So it's okay. You know, we're in a place where you can't say anything about anybody's opinion without getting shot in the face on Twitter. For real, I should have given you a screenshot of this. I commented on one of the mainstream media's posts this week. And I just asked the question. I said, do you have any data to support this? And somebody got really upset at me because I asked the question, do you have any data? Like, can I see the data? And I said in the reply, I said, I'm actually asking, I really want to know, do you have the data to support this? And somebody's like, they got all upset. And I said, I have been known to be wrong before. Fact check true. That's all I said. I said, I have been known to be wrong before. Fact check true. And this person, this woman, she sent about 3 more tweets about how dumb I was and how stupid my fact checking was and how off my fact checking. And I said, I think you may be arguing something that I didn't say. And she said, you said that this news article fact checked true and it's not true. I said, no, I fact checked myself to being wrong sometimes. So we're so divisive as a country now that when somebody admits that they are wrong sometimes and fact checks themselves, people still get upset, okay? So these predictions that I'm about to give you, it's okay if you disagree with me. You know what? You and I can still go out and have a glass of wine, maybe a beer, and just smile and be friends, even if you disagree with what I'm about to say, okay? Now, the first prediction, y'all are going to agree with, I think. But the second and third one, you never know. Okay, so let me bring you into the predictions. And by the way, if you just joined us, my name's Ed Rush. This is the Election Day Special. In a moment, I'm going to bring on anonymous Biden supporter and anonymous Trump supporter. All right, so prediction number 1. Look, the first prediction is everything's going to be all right. And I mean that. Everything's going to be all right. Now, for just a moment, I want to read you something that I read this week. And the moment I read it, I felt this enormous peace just completely come over my whole sense of being, my whole body and spirit and soul. And that peace has remained to this day. And I got to tell you, up until that point, I was a little bit nervous. I was tense about what was going to happen. And I read this, and it really made it much better. Now, what I'm going to read from you actually comes out of the ancient scriptures. It comes out of the Old Testament, if you've ever read that. And I know that some of you are right into that belief system and some of you aren't, but either way, just listen to a really old book of history and just listen to what it says. This is actually out of the book of Isaiah. If you like finding these things on your own, it's in chapter 40. And it goes like this. Who has measured, this is God speaking about himself. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, or marked out the heavens with a span, enclosed the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales and the hills in a balance? So what he's saying is, who's held all the water of the world in his hand, or marked the heavens with a span, which is just this bit right here. So this is God stretching his hand and saying, that's how big I am, okay? Or weighed the mountains on a scale. Who has measured the Spirit of the Lord, or what man shows him counsel? Whom did he consult, and who made him understand? Who taught him the path of justice, and who taught him knowledge, and showed him the way of understanding? Now check this out. Behold, the nations are like a drop from the bucket, and are accounted as dust on the scales. So I want you to picture these big scales, maybe a 200-pound bag of grain, boom, sits on top of the scales, and then there's like some dust. That's what God says. Look, the nations. So it's just giving you some perspective. Just know that God's in heaven. He's totally fine. There's no war. He's not worried about getting coronavirus. You know, he's okay. He's okay. And if he's okay, you're going to be okay. All right. The rest of this verse, some of you recognize the end of this verse. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not grow weary or faint. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, he increases strength. You ever feel that way? I don't have any might. Okay. Even youths shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not weary. They shall walk and not faint. I don't know about you, but when I read that, it gave me an intense amount of perspective. It helped me to understand that we're but a small country in the history of the world, and a small time in the history of the world. It's a big deal what's happening today. Don't get me wrong. It's a big deal for our country, but it's not the end of America as we know it. The media and the political parties, and I'm talking about both of them, have led you to believe that if you don't flat out get angry, that you're not going to get what you want and America is going to go away. And I can just tell you in full disclosure that that's not true. There's great people in this country on both sides. And prediction number one is that everything's going to be all right. Prediction number two, this is where it gets a little bold. This is the last Republican versus Democrat election in American history. Now, what you might not have seen is that behind the scenes is the largest single exodus from both parties. Over the last 6 years, both parties have lost membership to the tune of about 1% every single year. According to a recent Gallup poll, 61% of Americans said they would vote for a third-party candidate if they were given a viable option. Well, I intend to give them a viable option. It's just a question of when. The third prediction is very simple. I think this is the last gasp of the media. This actually brings me to what you do next. But I will just simply tell you, and this is on both sides, the media has proven to be simply a mouthpiece for their particular parties. And remember, I just said both sides. Don't freak out on me, okay? In the moment that our news media stopped doing journalism and started playing partisan was the beginning of the end. So some people today, I will just tell you, tonight or tomorrow, people will start announcing the beginning of the end of the news media. The beginning of the end was when they stopped saying things that were true if it affected their candidate, okay? Both sides. The middle of the end is when America saw it, and America is seeing it right now. So prediction number one, Everything's going to be all right. Prediction number 2 is the last Republican versus Democrat election in American history. I think the parties will be around, by the way. I just think that there's going to be another one that's going to be a lot better. Third prediction is the last gas. Now, this brings me to you. On Thursday, I'm going to have a show called What Happens Now. The question you're going to be asking after tonight or tomorrow, whenever the election result comes out, is what to do next. And I will tell you that your job is to become media. Your job is to attract attention and to be able to communicate a message so boldly that it attracts the eyeballs and the ears of the followers. And I will tell you that if you had 100 million followers right now, you would have been able to influence this election. In fact, you probably would have been able to call this election. And so your job in between now and 2024 is to do that. And we're going to start working this week together on how to do that. So bookmark Thursday at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 Eastern, because we're going to flat out get this started. All right. So for those of you who just joined us, my name is Ed Russ. This is the Election Day special. Just did my 4 predictions. Some of you know, as I mentioned in the beginning, today is National Sandwich Day. So have a sandwich, will you? And a smile. Something else is happening today. I can't remember what it is. There's my electoral map, and that's all you need to know. All right. So I am going to say hello in chat real quick. Figure out how to get along. I love it. Dr. Ed, there's your prediction right there. Maybe a beer. Hey, what's up, Paul? Rob, what's up, my man? Good to see you, buddy. Some good people checking in chat right now. All right, so here's what I am going to do. I'm going to bring on, I can't name names. These are 2 friends of mine, okay? So I'm going to bring on, I will just tell you, this is one of my best friends in the whole world. He's a really, really good guy. He's a really smart guy. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to the world. He understands history. He's not a dope. And I really like him, okay? So welcome to the show. It's really hard for me not to say his name. So welcome to the show, Anonymous Biden Voter. How are you today? I'm
doing well. Thank you for having me, Ed.
Tell me, what do you think is going to happen tonight? Who do you think is going to win?
I don't think we're going to know. I think that there's a high chance that we just don't end up with enough actual votes at the polls today to be able to make a definitive decision on who comes out ahead or not by the end of it. And I think the question will come down to who decides to or not to declare victory by the end of the night.
So you think there's a chance? So first of all, Pennsylvania's got at least 3 more days to count votes. I know that. There's a couple other states up in the north, Minnesota, I think, that's got a delayed vote count. So you think tonight the electoral map's neither candidate's gonna hit 270, but you actually, it sounded like you think someone or both might actually come out and just declare themselves a winner, like no matter what the media says. Is that what you're?
Yeah. Well, I mean, some, like take Pennsylvania, for example, they couldn't start counting until today. So they started counting this morning. We already know that the number of mail-in ballots is exceeding totals from all years prior, for obvious reasons, right? I think there's still a lot of people out there that are scared to go out in public, and so I don't know. Unless Biden takes something crazy like Texas, in which case I think then it would be pretty obvious that he's going to win. Unless one of those, what I think are kind of far-reaching, not really swing states yet. But I'm just guessing that there's a good high likelihood that we won't actually know, and it's going to be more of a fizzle and less of a bang.
So if Biden takes Texas, they're going to call it, obviously, because you've got, I don't remember, 48 electoral votes or 50 or something like that. If Trump
it also says something, right? If Biden takes Texas,
right,
then it's a signal that there was enough new voters and enough other voters that it just really is going to be bad for the.
So do you
GOP.
think? So let's say the president takes Florida and North Carolina. Does that change? So I read Nate Silver's blog this week, and he said if they start seeing asymmetric polling numbers either way, they'll start adjusting the rest of the polls based on that. Do you think that's kind of a harbinger as well?
It may be. If you look at where the campaigns were headed over the last week, I think it was fascinating because we know that they've both upped their pollster games since the last election. I think Trump's team last time did an amazing job on the pollstering side of their own internal. And when you watched where candidates were going, you felt that there was a more of a frenetic pace of uncertainty. And that alone says that we are not really certain of where these votes are going to turn out and if the polls are going to match. And is exit polling data going to even be accurate? Is the silent majority as silent this time around? Is there a new silent majority that's voting for Biden that wasn't there last time voting for Hillary? I mean, those never before have I felt like it's so up in the air. And so
yeah, I mean, you really do have. I mean, I mentioned this in my email last week. You have this concept called social desirability bias, which essentially says someone's going to say something to somebody on the phone or on a poll to essentially give them the answer they want or to avoid being shamed or being criticized. And the truth is that can go both ways. Let me give you an example. So one example would be, let's say a person in Hollywood who's trying to get in and work in the movie industry. Well, it's very unlikely for that person to come out in support of the president and say, like, I'm a big Trump person, because they could be vilified in that industry. But on the other side, there's actually some data showing that white Christian women are moving towards Biden, presumably because of the president's Twitter account or his personality. And that's the same thing. So it would be hard for someone like that to go into church and explain why they're voting for Biden. So I think that can actually work.
Or even in their own home, right? I think that the suburban white woman is the silent majority this time around, but for Biden, because they may not want to say to their community, to their friends, to their spouse, to their kids, the neighbor, oh yeah, no, I'm voting for Trump, of course. And then they're going to go into the polling station, or they're going to mail in their ballot, and they're going to say, I actually don't align with that person's ideals. And Biden's a safe bet on that side, right? He's an old white male who is a fairly moderate Democrat. And so I think that actually plays in his favor with that population.
I want to say hello to a couple folks. What's up, Lori Pop? Good to see you as well. Hey, Steve, welcome to the show. Kevin, what's up? Good to see you, buddy. John Haley, one of my longtime best friends in my whole world, coming in from Arizona. Haley, we saw the 96-mile Trump train the other day. What's up, Denise? Good to see you, Sandra, as well. Hello, Barry. Yeah, Texas was. Everything moves around. All right. So a couple last questions, and then I'll bring in anonymous Trump supporter. What do you think? What do you think is the biggest thing your candidate did wrong? Where did he miss?
I think that Biden was a little slow to come out swinging and go after Trump in Trump's policies, in Trump's kind of leadership style. I think that he took a little bit of a Hillary approach, which was to let Trump run himself into the ground, which obviously didn't work last time. So, as a Democrat, we were sitting here pulling our hair out going, what the hell are you doing? Like, get out there and start doing something. Because if you play the negative, and that's your goal to win, is to say, well, I'm not the other guy.
Right.
So therefore I am winner by default. You lose every time. And so you have to be the one who's driving the message and driving hope and driving the perspective. And I really felt that we were a little slower than I would have liked to have seen.
The driving hope thing is interesting because if you look at, for example, Obama's, especially his first campaign in 2008, that was a very positive, extraordinarily hope-driven campaign. I mean, you couldn't help but feel really good. I mean, look, I was a Republican then. I'm not anymore, but like I remember watching his Yes We Can speech in 2008, and I was like, dude, this is good, man. I felt good. Like I felt good about that. And I think he may have missed on that. There was a lot of what the country is doing wrong. I didn't have the sense that like there was this blooming hope that like January 2021, man, a Biden presidency, like I didn't feel that. And I think you're probably right about that. What do you think he did right? So what do you think the biggest thing is that he did right?
I think that he came out and matched Trump pretty well on the debate. The first debate, I think, although it was ugly, I don't even know how to call it a debate. I thought it was ridiculous. Zero substance. However, I think that what he needed to do is he went in and got the job done. And I think that went against his personality.
The first debate, if you look, for example, one of the things you can do, there's a website called Predict It, where essentially you can bet on futures for the president.
Of course, we can bet on everything.
You bet on everything. So one of the biggest spikes in Predict It for Vice President Biden was right after the first debate. I think you're totally right about that. All right, any last parting thoughts before I move on to the Republican anonymous?
I just hope everybody votes, and I'm sure everybody does on this show. But do reach out to people that you know and tell them to vote. I'm not pulling for one side on that answer, but I do think we get out and vote, we're better off.
You're the man, sir. Hey, buddy, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you, pal. Talk to you soon. All right, so I'm going to jump to our next interview. I thought that was great, by the way. Hopefully, you see, if you're like super like on the right, you saw like somebody who knows what they're talking about. Okay, like I said, he's a good guy, and we're friends. For those of you who just joined us, by the way, my name is Ed Rush. Today is the Election Day special here in the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. And I just want to go back and just say what I told you before, which is I should start singing the song. Everything's gonna be all right. I should have written it as gonna. Hello, Felicia. Welcome to the show. Rick, what's going on, buddy? How are you? Good to say hello. If you haven't already done so, jump in on chat, tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you do. And I'm gonna jump in. I'm in the middle of a round of interviews right now. And I just interviewed the anonymous Biden supporter. Now we're gonna go to the anonymous Trump supporter. I have to change the marquee though, because hold on. There we go. Gosh, again, I almost said his name. What's up?
Hello. Hey there.
What's going on, man? Welcome to the show. So what do you think is going to happen? What's your prediction? What's going to happen tonight? What are we going to find out?
Well, firstly, I don't see a scenario where Trump backs down. I think that the fact that there's all these mail-in ballots and there's a lot of confusion, there's certain states that may not be fully counted yet. I don't see him. I see him either declaring victory or creating some sort of chaos here. And I mean, I listen, I'm a big Trump supporter and I know how he does things, and look, the guy wins. I mean, no one can argue. You can hate him, you can love him. It doesn't matter. The guy knows how to win. And, at the end of the day, if he doesn't win, I don't see him, stepping down today without reassuring or believing that there wasn't any fraud or anything that, went on with this whole mail-in ballot situation and the counting and how it all goes. And I'm confused about it all. And I think everybody's somewhat confused. How is this all going to go down? And so I don't see a scenario where Trump backs down. I don't know I don't know about the opposite. I don't know about the alternative.
So do you think that the election will be called tonight, or do you think that we'll know this week or later in December after it goes through the courts? What's your prediction on that?
I think the election will be called tonight if Trump's there. I mean,
you think it'll be called in his favor?
If he's the winner, which I believe he will be, then I think it'll be called. If it's, I think that the other side will allow that to happen if that's the case.
So what is the main? So you're a business owner, and a CEO. What is the main reason you voted? And you're in California, by the way. So just so you know, both you guys I interviewed today are Californians.
Not happy about that.
What's the biggest reason? What's the biggest reason you voted for President Trump this time around?
The biggest reason. Well, first of all, I thought he did a great job. It's just plain and simple. I think that, in my lifetime, I've never seen someone come and challenge the establishment in the way that he's done it. As a business owner, it's really, really, and Ed, you are as well, it's really hard to build a business. I mean, it is the hardest thing I've ever personally experienced. I mean, it's a lot. And it's important to me to have confidence in a president who's going to be behind you as a business owner. And, people don't realize, I think what people don't realize, and I think he could have done a better job touching on it, and he has touched on it, but the degree to which companies do have more choice, and you can tax them to heck, and it all sounds great and dandy, but at the end of the day, that all filters down to the employees. It's not just about attacking the rich and who's done really well. It's about creating an environment where they simply will stay here. And in addition to that, Trump has done an amazing job, in my opinion, trying to put America first. He's talked about America first. He put an America first platform in the sense that, when dealing with China and chilling and taking us out of some trade agreements that he didn't agree with, what's been important to him is to make sure we weren't taken advantage of. And when you really dissect some of these agreements, you can see that, it's this ideology that came from the other side for years, but saying, hey, look, if you just do this and that and give China their ability to do this. I mean, the bottom line is I'd rather be the bully. Yeah. That's really what I'm in America. I'd rather be the bully than be taken advantage of by other countries.
It's interesting as a business owner, and I'll tell you, there's a big difference between the way a business owner does their taxes and everyone else. So the way that if you're a salaried employee, you get a W-9, you get withholding, you see the withholding, but a lot of times you're not writing the check. And I will tell you, if you're a business owner and you do your taxes, that first year that you actually make some money, you look at it and you're like, what the heck, man? I work like the first 4 months of the year to pay the taxes. Like it's a big, like cold water dose. And I will tell you that between 2016 and 2020, that number got better. It definitely got better. The average American, according to the last number I saw, don't quote me on this, paid about a few $1,000s less because of the tax breaks. Okay. And I will tell you, as a business owner, that really has been appealing. I will agree with you when it definitely comes to the taxes. And I've never, ever been shy about talking about this. I think taxing excessive taxes on individuals and business is the fastest way to slow things down. All right.
If you attack these big corporations or Amazon, all these other people that I'm hearing them attack, these companies can leave. They don't have to be here. That's what people don't realize. I mean, you talk about the $400,000 that he talks about. Okay, that's nothing. You talk about the big guys who or women who can just leave. I mean, so you gotta create a situation where these people stay in America and they create American jobs. It's really that simple.
Yeah, I mean, companies are very, very versatile. That's the thing that here in California, about 4 years ago, the California legislature took 18 months to create an anti-ride sharing proposition or legislation. And within about 4 days, Uber and Lyft had completely adjusted around their legislation that took them 18 months. And it just showed this is how long it takes bureaucrats to do something, and this is how long it takes business to do something. All right, 2 more questions real quick, and then I got to jump. First one, what do you think, what are the biggest thing, what's the biggest thing you think that Donald Trump got wrong? What did he get wrong?
In sense of what? While he ran for office?
During the election, during the race, what do you think he did wrong?
During the race, not during his term. You mean during the race?
Yep. Nothing. You can say nothing.
I don't really think anything comes to mind. I mean, I think not that I think Donald Trump is perfect in any sense of the word. I think that he has a modus operandum that works for him. I think he has a way of doing things. I mean, he nicknames Joe. He gets the Sleepy Biden Joe or Sleepy Joe nickname. He creates some controversy with the media, controversy with Hunter Biden, and puts a bunch of attention on that. The guy knows what he's doing, and he knows how to paint the picture. Anyone that's against him, he knows how to spin it so they look against him. I can't say he's doing anything wrong. I think he's got a way of doing things. When he got elected in the first case, I thought, no way, this guy's getting elected. There's no chance. Look at all the stuff he did. I was wrong. So
here's a comment that I'd like to just, I think the biggest miss, in fact, Marquette and I, who I'm going to bring on in just a second, did a show during this. I think the biggest miss in the entire campaign is when he was asked to denounce white supremacy. And he did in kind of, but he started talking about something else that really distracted the issue. And I think if he had just stopped, like he did later on and like he did before, if he had just said, look, I completely denounce white supremacy. In fact, I completely denounce supremacy in any format and racism in any format. I think if he had just did that, the first debate, I think, was the biggest miss. And I'll tell you this too, talking about both sides, I think the first debate was his biggest miss. I thought the third debate was Vice President Biden's biggest miss. And here's why. And then I'll get to my last question for you. When he was asked, do you support to banning fracking? He said, no, but only on public land. Look, the 60,000 people who work in Pennsylvania in the fracking industry know that 98% of fracking is on public land. So when he said that, most of America said, oh, fine, he's not against fracking. Most of the people in the oil industry said he's against us, okay? That's a big, important state and a big move. But I think the first debate was the biggest mistake for the president, third debate for VP Biden. So another interesting, I'm just going to throw it up there. So Jabez says, to me, it feels like part of the difference between Dems and the Trump GOPers is they never think he does anything wrong. I'm going to let you answer that, but I'll just say, I think having been not an anonymous spectator, but a spectator on both sides, I think one of the biggest issues in the election this year is literally everybody like one side going, yeah, but like, don't worry about his tweets. And the other side being like, no, he just has a stutter, like, so like both sides, don't worry about it. And everybody's wrong about that. We're talking about human beings, humans who make mistakes, and like both sides totally blew it. So I'm going to go back to your last question. What do you think was the best thing he did this election? And then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead.
Well, look, I mean, responding to what you just said about what he's potentially done wrong. I mean, look, I think that a lot of people vote against him for his personality and not his policies. When I talk to a lot of people on the left side, I ask them what your issue with, and it's personality related versus, okay, what are the specific things that he's done that are racist, for example, or whatever else. And I don't disagree that I think that Trump could have done a better job keeping his mouth shut every once in a while on certain things and being a really good influence for this country. And he does say some things that I probably shouldn't say. But like you said, he's human, and it is difficult. I mean, for me, I don't know how you could spend your whole life having all this media and all this stuff against you and waking up every morning like a bulldozer. I mean, to me, it's inspirational. I'm like, man, I would be laying in bed freaking out. This guy just keeps going.
So, any last words before I jump?
Oh, Donald Trump.
All right, there we go. So thank you, anonymous Trump supporter. By the way, if you just joined us and you're wondering what in the world is Ed doing, there's nobody on video there. I just interviewed two friends of mine. One's a Biden supporter, the other one's a Trump supporter, and they both were giving their predictions. I don't think either one said that we're going to know tonight. By the way, this is the Election Day special. We're just about to come around the corner. I'm going to introduce in just a moment my good friend Marquetta Breslin. Before I do that, I want to jump into chat and say hello to some of our friends. By the way, those of you who missed this was my election map prediction. Boom, right there. Prediction number 1, everything's going to be all right. Okay, so it's going to be fine. And by the way, if you did just join us right after the show, which ends in 17 minutes, we're all going to jump on Zoom. We're going to have a prayer session, national prayer session. Even if you're not spiritual and prayer isn't even your thing, most people I know, prayer is some part of your thing. You're more than welcome to do that. My team's going to put the link into chat. It's a long Zoom link. And if you're on my email list, which you should be, I already sent that out yesterday and today. The link is already in that as well. Okay. Now, real quick, I want to go to one of the comments here. And Denise, who is from Canada, says, are people in the United States aware of the opinion of the people in other countries of their president, and do they care? I think I'll just answer this, Denise, and just say, we're aware of what Canadians think. So I think that's pretty obvious to most Americans what Canadians think. I will tell you, though, that the Canadian view of the United States president is not the view of the nations, okay? And I have traveled the world, and I go to a lot of places, like, for example, India. The second most populated place in the entire world is not the same as Canada when it comes to the president of the United States. I will also tell you that the nation of Israel in 2016 minted a coin with the President Trump's face on it, where American Jews may not be as support of the president. The folks in Israel actually significantly are. So I'll just tell you, it may be one way in one country, but it depends on the country when it comes to the view of the president. And I think that if you went to Canada and China and Hong Kong, you would get 3 different opinions. By the way, John says, hey, I give you a list. This guy should be able to admit he did wrong, but the Anon mentioned his policies. The greatest foreign policy president since WW2, which is interesting because foreign policy wasn't debated very much at all. Thank you, Delisa. That link is in there as well. What's up, Ben? Good to see you. Good to see what's going on, buddy. New coaching member right there. Jabez and John are just back and forth now. I love it. They know each other too, by the way. So, okay, Denise. So when you said people in other countries, you were only talking about Britain and Europe. Small little part of the world over there. I know it used to be the whole world. I'm just messing with you now. I'm just totally messing with you. Okay. So Denise is like, I'm not talking about India and Israel. Guess he's in Germany, man. Okay, so he's in. Goodness gracious, I don't even know why. Thank you, Ben. Geez, now they're all. This is awesome. Well, yeah. So there you go. All right, chat just exploded. I love it. You just talk to each other, okay? This is gonna be awesome. All right, I'm gonna bring on. Oh man, I'm gonna bring on my final guest, but she's like kind of like a host.
Hey,
Marquetta Breslin, everybody, what's going on?
good. Nothing much.
So we, by the way, for those of you who don't know Marquetta, one of the most brilliant marketers I know. She's launching a product right now called Social Media Blueprint. Okay.
Yes.
And I know that this isn't the topic of today, but it is the single best course on social media. I've completely renovated, especially my Instagram. And if you're interested in getting that, it's a really good deal, and you can get it at edrush.com/social, SOCIAL. That also gets you into a really special training that Marquetta and I are doing, where you look at that. All right, so I know I like, hey, anytime I can tell people about your stuff, I'm going to take the chance to do that. So,
well, thank you.
So for a little background, Marquetta and I have been very active over the last 3 years together in working on building a third-party solution. Neither one of us are Republicans or Democrats. We both love our country. We both served in the military. She was in the Air Force. I was in the Marines, which is a source of a lot of jokes between us. So you've heard both sides so far, but you have your own thoughts and perspectives. So what do you think?
Oh man, I posted something to my social media this morning, and it just said pray. Because so many people right now, if you watch the media, it doesn't matter if you watch CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, you have a sense of fear. It's crazy, but I just said pray. Exercise your right to vote, but pray. And know that, just like you said, whatever happens, we're gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay at the end of the day. But it's just, I cannot believe how crazy this year has been. We are literally living, I mean, every day is history, but this one will go down. This will probably be its own class in college.
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
It'll be its own class. What happened with the pandemic, what happened with the economy, what happened with the election. There's so much meat that's happening that we don't even know about. We probably won't even know until another 5 to 10 years, maybe even 20 years. That's going to be very, very interesting. But at the end of the day, you got to just pray.
You got to pray. You know, I love that. And just so you know, this is a recommendation from a person who lives that message. Okay. So I will tell you that between Marquetta and I and some of our team members, we've logged well over 100 hours of prayer together on this issue, the country and the election. Individually, it's probably thousands. Okay. So this is a person who knows when she says pray, and she's going to join us, by the way, on this session.
Yes.
The thing about prayer that I love is, see, God isn't confused, right? So if you're like a Notre Dame fan and you're playing Ohio State, and half of the people are rooting for and praying for Notre Dame, and half of the people are praying for Ohio State, God isn't like, oh my gosh, who should I choose? Because I'm so confused. He's not confused. Remember, he weighs the dust on the scales, but he also knows not just 2020, but he also knows what's going to happen in like 40-20. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's all underneath his. But so when you pray, what happens is you're just saying, hey, your will be done.
Yes.
On earth as it is in heaven. And I really, really appreciate that. The second thing, this flows right with what I've been saying. Because like last week, I just sent an email out. I said, look, pray for 3 things. Pray for your will be done.
Yes.
Pray for justice. That includes all forms of justice.
Exactly.
And then pray for peace. So what are your thoughts on those 3 categories?
It's right. And I say this, I've been saying this a lot lately. I don't understand how some believers, when they think of government and politics, it's like they don't put like God. It's like God has no control over that area. I just don't understand that.
That's so true, right?
Yes, when it comes to government and politics, like I was saying to, I was on another prayer call last night, and it was actually with Rob, and I was saying to Rob, God chose, just like he chose David, he chose Saul. He handpicks these, and I'm not saying that one candidate has been handpicked over the other. What I'm saying is, when it comes to politics and when it comes to issues like this, we still have to trust and believe that God is faithful and pray that his will be done over this nation on earth as it is in heaven, and let it go.
So as usual, chat explodes when Marquetta shows up. So this is by the way, this is a guy who spent a lot of time praying with us as well. So
Yes.
This is a man, Rob, who is a faithful person of prayer. I will just say,
oh, absolutely,
he's prayed hundreds and hundreds of hours on this topic with us as well. Jasmine says hi. Marnie says hi. I saw who else was earlier on? Anyway, so good to see you all and welcome. So what do you think is going to happen? Any predictions or thoughts or things that you're concerned about, or what I know you don't have to give me
so I'm not at all concerned. It's going to be very, very interesting, the end result. I don't know how. I think that, and here's what my thoughts are. And it's just what you said earlier. We will never be the same after this. Mm-hmm. The parties will never be the same. But I think the most important thing that we will see out of this is that the media will never be the same. And the media will be held accountable for the narrative. Because sometimes I told you this yesterday. So I was watching the news and getting frustrated with what I was hearing because it was fear mongering. Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily even about the election. It was about something else. And I just couldn't believe, why would you say these things to scare people? But I think all in all, what will come out of this election, no matter who is elected, that the media will change and shift, and it will totally transform after this. Yeah. I truly think that that's the biggest thing that will come out of it. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be very interesting.
It's interesting. And by the way, Denise, I'm going to get to your question in a second because I really like that question, and then we'll get to wrap up. But it's interesting because I think this year, this is the reason why I said, for those of you who just joined me, by the way, I said my second prediction was this is the last Republican versus Democrat election. And the reason why I say that is there's a whole bunch of people who are leaving their party, but they're not going to the other party because they feel like that they would be a traitor if they did that.
Right.
They're saying, hey, this party doesn't represent me, but I can't go over there because I've never done that. And I mentioned, for example, suburban housewives who are I don't know if the Republican Party is me anymore, but they're certainly not going to go over here. But it's interesting statistically, we've been talking about this quite a bit. There's a fairly large subset of the minority vote that's in the Democratic Party that's I don't know about that anymore. Mm-hmm. They're not ready to be Republicans, and they probably never will. What are your thoughts about that shift across the electoral map?
Oh man, it's very interesting. I think that is probably going to be the thing that shocks people the most, is how everything is going to shift. The narrative, I truly believe the narrative will be totally transformed and changed after this, with even the Black vote, the Latino vote, with how people vote across the board. This will change the trajectory of how America votes and how we listen and decide on elections. I don't think from this election forward, I don't think people will ever be naive. Of course, you're going to have people that are naive, but more people are going to pay attention and choose a candidate based on whatever particular criteria that they set. Now you have people who are choosing based on color, or based on what this celebrity says, or based on what this celebrity doesn't say. And it's crazy. But I think more people are waking up and listening and finally understanding, okay, let me take a step back. What is an electoral college? How does the voting system work? Why do we have the Democratic Party? What are the real true values of the Democratic Party? What are the values of the Republican Party?
Yeah.
What is an independent? I think people will finally start to seek this information so that they can be well informed on this next election coming up. I really think that this opened the door also for a lot of people who may not necessarily have wanted to get into politics before, but have a strong pull and a call to go in that direction.
I think, man, no joke. We've talked to more people about that, and I'll just say, at some point, you might see Marquetta Breslin's name on a ballot near you. I'm not going to even say there's no race, but I'm just saying, like, we all think. Look, we got how many people on YouTube? We got we have a lot of people watching. All right, so like, if you think Marquetta should run for something big, you tell her, because I think she should. All right, so we talk about kind of like what would it be like if? So anyway, Rob says that, the media was wicked. I just left Saks and they have their windows boarded up with plywood. There's so much fear being projected. Hey, boy, I'll tell you what. And when we get together in 4 minutes, really, on this Zoom, we're going to pray specifically for peace. Real quick question, Marquetta, then we're gonna wrap up for today. Denise says, when you say his will be done, do you believe God has given us a brain and awaits our choice to be judged later, or does he influence? This is a good question, by the way. Hey, by the way, Denise, just so you know, this is like a 6,000-year-old question that people have been debating. So we're not gonna figure it all out in the next 2 minutes. But what are your thoughts?
That's a really, really good question. I was actually going to ask you if I could answer this question, because I think it's a little bit of both. We do have a brain. God gives us a brain, and we are able to make choices. Just like the Israelites, they decided they wanted a king.
Yep.
And basically, he was like, I am your king, but if you want it, I'll give it to you. And he gave them a king. But I also believe that we have revelation, and that some of us are pulled and assigned to pray for certain things. And it's up to us to be obedient to do that thing. And if we don't, and if it doesn't get done and God needed us to do it and nobody else does it, which I believe that has happened before, where people have been assigned to pray for a particular thing and maybe they don't do it for whatever reason, and things don't go exactly how it was planned that they go out. So I think that, yes, we do have a brain, but I think that there's influence there, that God influences, and it comes with being obedient. So it's a little bit, in my opinion, it's a little bit of both of those things. Being obedient when you feel the need, when you feel the pull to pray for something, there's times where I'm in my prayer closet and I'm called to pray for another country. It's not part of, I don't live there, but it's still something that fell on my heart in that moment. And I pray and do what I'm supposed to do and intercede for that country. So I believe it's a little bit of both, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Alice says, yep, you ought to run. Jasmine says, city council, and then some. All right. So I think, hey, so I'm gonna just say thank you, and then I'll do like a quick wrap up, Marquetta, and then we'll head over to the Zoom. It technically starts in 50 seconds, but it's gonna be a little later. We'll start a couple minutes into it. We're not gonna be that much late. I just want to say thank you, and I want to say this publicly before everyone. The person that you see right over here next to me is a faithful person. She's the kind of person who says she's going to do something and she does it. That goes true for your husband as well, Ricky. And I've really come to love both of you, not only as friends, but as my dear sister and brother. And I just want to say thank you. You've been so faithful, not just to me, but to God and to the people that you call your friends. And I just want to just thank you for that. It's really rare in today's day and age. I mean, there's not that many people that I can really look in the eye and say that. I just want to say thank you and just honor you for that. It's just incredible what you've done for all of us, and we're only beginning.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you so much, and we love you too. I'm excited for the future, for what's to come.
It's going to be interesting, and the future starts today. So thank you, Marquetta Breslin. Give her a big.
You're welcome.
You're going to see her over in our prayer session in just a second, and thank you. Yes. I'll talk to you in a minute. All right, so I'm going to wrap up real quick, and I'm going to end with where I started. By the way. We're jumping over onto the Zoom session. I just put the link back into chat again. I think it went on all media, but you're welcome to join us. just come on and join. And if you just want to listen, it's okay. If you want to jump in and pray, you're welcome to do that as well. I'm going to start us out, and Marquetta will be there. I'll have one of my other team members do that as well. And such great comments in chat. Thank you for this. Yeah, third or fourth party. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Rob. I love everything that you're saying. Thank you, Anita and Ed. Yes to the answer is so we can win. Third party won in 1860, by the way, Ed. So it's not even the first time it's ever happened in our country. Okay, so let me just wrap up today by the way that I started. You're going to go probably today like I am, and you're going to start watching the television. Whether you choose CNN or MSNBC or C-SPAN or Fox News, we're trying to figure out in our house which one to watch. I don't even think we have a choice. There's nothing to choose from. But you're going to go there, and the tendency, because the media is designed to draw you in with emotion, the tendency is to start feeling uneasy. It's to start feeling scared. In fact, more than scared, it's potentially to help you feel terrified. They're going to show you examples of people who are creating violence across the country. Remember, there's 340 million Americans, and there may be 2 people that they highlight, or 10 people, or 20 people. That does not represent our country. That represents the extreme edges on both sides. Most of what's going to happen today is, for example, today we just ordered some food from Whole Foods. That food's going to get delivered. The people are going to come walking to my house with their masks on. We're going to say hello. We're going to exchange greetings. We're not even going to talk about who we voted for or what we disagree with. We're certainly not going to be yelling at each other. We're just going to be Americans, because Americans treat each other well. Now, in an immune system in a body, if your immune system isn't working, disease pops up. Well, in our country right now, our country's immune system isn't working, and so the diseased fringes on both sides are starting to pop up. And you know what solves that? Love, compassion, kindness, communication. The truth is, the other side, they're not idiots. They're sincere. They may be sincerely wrong, but at least they're sincere. And the history of our country has been opposing viewpoints coming together to create something better. The reason our Constitution has stood the test of time, even now, the reason our Constitution has stood the test of time is because multiple differing sides came together and at least had a conversation long enough to create something that wasn't perfect for them, and it wasn't perfect for them, but it was best for everyone. And I'm here to tell you that this too shall pass. There's going to come a day in our country where when you go to the polling place, you're going to have a huge smile on your face because you're going to be voting for someone different. And it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what church or not church you were born into. It doesn't matter your race or your gender or your religion or your immigration status. Okay? It just matters that you're here. And when we do that as a country, not only are we going to be better, but we're going to make the world a better place too. I'm looking forward to that. I know that you are, and that starts tomorrow. So on Thursday, I have a show coming up called What Happens Now. On the show, I'm going to tell you the next steps. It starts with you being the go-to person in your niche and growing your following. I know we've been talking about election stuff. We're going to get quickly into that so that you can be in a place in 2022 and 2024 where you can truly influence this country for good. Okay? Let's see. The meeting code is being put into chat if you have any questions. And here's what I'm going to do. When I come off into that prayer session that we're doing, I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave this broadcast on for just a little while, just so that you can. If anybody's having issues getting onto Zoom, I'm going to jump over there now. But let me just do this really quickly. I'm going to say about a 15-second prayer for today, maybe 25-second prayer for our country today, right now, and then we're going to wrap up the show. So, Father, thank you for the gift that you've given of this nation, the free nation that we have. We pray for 3 things. Number 1, your will be done. Number 2, that there would be justice today, that end this election, that the votes that should be counted will be counted. We pray, Lord, for peace, that you would keep this country peaceful, even through whatever happens. And over the United States, may the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you, lift up his countenance upon you, and give you peace. Amen. All right. Thank you guys for your time. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shut down the show, but I'm going to leave chat on for a little while just so that you can check in I'm going to be jumping onto the Zoom meeting. Don't forget, everything's going to be all right. I'll talk to you soon.